But don't you worry, now we have Hades, and Nolan is going to show us in a very artistic way how Hades is, and no, it's just a desolate black beach in Iceland. And apparently the world of the dead is very easy to reach, because you just go north from where Circe is. Just go north, or you use Google Maps, and you're at Hades. Amazing. And instead of talking with Achilles, he's talking with Sinon. So Sinon is kind of taking the place of Achilles here. So the rumors that he was going to play Achilles are not exactly wrong, because he played part of the role of Achilles. Agamemnon was a disappointment, because you have this almost mythical figure and his voice sucks.
Why are you gay?
Of course, here we have whining by Sinon, because he's starting to throw guilt onto Odysseus, telling him, why didn't you trust me, and I would have died for you, etc.
Oh my God.
But again, but doesn't make sense, because if you were ready to die for him, it wouldn't make any difference whether he told you or not, if there were men inside the Trojan horse. For you, it wouldn't have made a difference, but it wouldn't have made a difference for the rest, and for the people in the Trojan horse, and for the war, because if he told you and they tortured you and you yielded, they would be in trouble. The plan would completely fail.
Well, duh.
What I found ironic, by the way, in this scene is that Sinon is just whining about his feelings on like a girl. Oh man, that's priceless. So we have another scene with Calypso and Odysseus, and we are shown that Calypso has decided to help him remember, so she stopped giving him the lotus. But then at the last day, she gives him again the lotus to sleep well.
What the hell?
And then next day, he's gathering wood, and she tells him, you gotta remember. Then why did you give him a lotus last night?
Oh, come on.
But then also Nolan has Odysseus be 180 degrees different from the Odysseus of Homer, and he's saying, I don't want to remember, I don't want to go back.
What in the fuck are you doing?
And he has Odysseus actually say that I don't need to know the truth doesn't matter. Post-modernism, anybody?
Are you that stupid?
So let me get this straight. Odysseus was several years with Calypso, and he was taking the lotus, and he forgot stuff, and he was having a good time there. But then she stopped the lotus for several days or some time, and he started remembering, and he started even being angry that Calypso held him there, and then eats one more lotus, and the next day he says, fuck it, I don't need the truth, I don't want to go anywhere, I'm fine here.
Why?
Why are you gay?
Next up we have the Sirens. Here we have the Siren song used by Nolan to actually intensify guilt in Odysseus.
Do we have to apologize for that greatness? And the answer is yes, we do.
Yeah, fuck off.
He's talking about promises he didn't keep, etc. And they actually tell him that he doesn't really want to go back.
What the hell? It's pathetic.
Where is the Nostos? I heard people actually talking about Nostos, the homecoming part of the Odyssey of Homer, that it was in this film. They somehow saw it in this film. Where? Odysseus does the opposite here. He doesn't really want to go back. He forgets his wife. Nolan deleted the land of the Lotus Eaters, where it would show that Odysseus was the only one who wanted to go back so much that he saved his men and they left. Moving on to Scylla and Charybdis, or as it is probably pronounced, Scylla and Charybdis. And here, if you recall, in the previous episode of Circe, Nolan has Odysseus not wanting to defy the gods because he didn't kill Circe. But now he wants to defy the gods and he wants to go through Charybdis, the vortex, even though they told him through Tiresias that that's going to kill everyone, except maybe him. But of course his men, who again appear wiser, they choose to go through the Scylla, where it seems to be safer, and it is safer. So again we have a differentiation from Homer, and not that changing Homer is the problem, but changing it into something that doesn't make sense or that aims to diminish and to ridicule the hero. That's not a very good message to promote. So in Homer, Odysseus took the responsibility of going through Scylla and having 6 men killed and saving all of the rest. But now Nolan makes the men taking that decision and not Odysseus. It's an excellent example of how when we are in the theater and we're watching a movie, we get carried away from the audio-visual things and the fact that we are amongst other people and we're enjoying ourselves and we want to enjoy ourselves. So our logical brain kind of shuts down a little bit, if it's there to begin with. Once they get through Scylla and 6 men die, the first officer, this, I don't know, Muslim, Indian, whatever he is, guy that we keep having in our screen as a Greek guy, he tells Odysseus, you knew, didn't you? And Odysseus says, yeah, but if I told you, you would have gone through Charybdis and we would all die. But if you recall, when the scene starts, Odysseus is the one who tells them to go through Charybdis in the first place. Which means that either Odysseus wanted to defy the gods, as we are told throughout the movie, and wanted to go through Charybdis, risking everybody's death but his own, or, and this is very far-fetched, he told them to go through Charybdis because he knew that they would do the opposite, because they didn't trust him much, which is extremely far-fetched, because what if they believed him?
Thank you!
What if he persuaded them and they went through Charybdis? And if someone wants to defend Nolan on this and say that he bluffed and he said let's go through Charybdis so that the men would do the opposite and go through Scylla, that doesn't make sense, because throughout the movie, crew never considered that Odysseus wants to harm them. It's one thing to have your trust a little bit shaken, and it's an entirely different thing to think that your leader wants to harm you. So it's not at all plausible that they would do the opposite. Plus, second reason, in Hades, Odysseus told Tiresias that I will defy the gods and I will go through Charybdis.
Thank you!
So the whole scene is really not well written. Next stop is the island of the sun, and we have a scene where Zendaya or Athena or hallucination helps Odysseus find the men who, after days of starving, they went a little bit further, dug a big hole and killed the animals and roasted them. I mean, couldn't have Odysseus found that barbecue place by himself? I mean, they were alone, it's a small place, they weren't too far, the meat smells, there's a fire, come on. You don't need a god to do that. But then of course we have, through the discussion of Odysseus with Athena, or I don't know, his conscience or hallucination or whatever, we are again reminded that Odysseus feels responsible for whatever his crew is doing, even though he was trying to protect them.
Boring!
So again we're having this reminder of guilt.
Oh my God!
And it's funny because Odysseus feels he's responsible for their death because he's their leader and it's because of him that they ended up here. And Athena says, well, yeah, and the gods brought you here, so...
Why are you gay?
And then Athena has a very nice question. She says, why do you place yourself above the gods and you grab every responsibility upon you? And before Odysseus responds, Athena makes a new question and says, why don't you want to go home?
Say that again?
And of course there is no answer again, because Nolan doesn't have an answer, because there is no answer. You just have to swallow it as it is. You can't have a man who assumes responsibilities, even responsibilities of others, upon himself and feels guilty. That same man would not avoid going home and assuming his responsibilities over there. Those two are contradictory. All of this dialogue doesn't connect. Next scene we have Odysseus with Calypso, and her excuse for giving him the lotus for so long is that she thought that he wasn't strong enough to deal with his memories.
Oh, come on!
So it's like psychotherapy then.
Emotional, damn it! You want some therapy?
Of course, she never mentioned why she thought that Odysseus wasn't ready to leave. And then she tells him that now that you're going to leave, in order to arrive to your destination, you have to accept Poseidon's punishment.
Why?
Because I'm Batman.
Well, punishment for what? For wanting to go home? For trying to protect his crew? For ending a war with a clever Trojan horse? These are not things to be ashamed of or to be punished for. He wants to drill in our heads that Odysseus, our hero, or any hero, has to be ashamed that he is a hero.
Do we have to apologize for that greatness? And the answer is yes, we do.
Why?
And has to be ashamed that he found a clever way to beat an opponent at war.
Why?
And punishment because apparently he violated Zeus's law
Oh my god!
by using the Trojan horse, which is of course horse shit.
Fucking disgrace! Fuck off!
That's not Zeus's law, and that's not Xenia, nothing to do with war. And also Odysseus didn't break the Zeus's law even after Troy on the Cyclones destination or in the Cyclops. Actually, in the Cyclops broke Zeus's law because they were strangers and they were hungry and he should have fed them.
Well, duh.
And practically everybody else broke Zeus's law but Odysseus. Why did Nolan remove the land of Phaeacians from his film, from his Odyssey? Because had he left them in, we would see people that are a little bit more civilized, that accepted Odysseus as he was and didn't judge him and fed him and helped him and offered him to stay, and he could not show any of Odysseus' guilt over there, so he just removed it altogether. Then we have Odysseus that returns and Eumaeus, who is blind or half blind or almost blind and supposedly logically has better hearing, because the film showed us that he could even hear the movements of Telemachus in battle without seeing them. So he must have excellent hearing, actually, but he could not remember Odysseus, his master's voice.
Oh my god!
No. Then we have Telemachus and Penelope, and Telemachus tells Penelope the plan, and she starts another feminist rant.
I don't care. Boring.
And why should a woman not be in the throne? And I have been here for so many years, and I have experience and knowledge and why it should be that only men should be in the throne.
Emotional damage.
And she rants and whines that all of her experience doesn't matter because she's not a man.
It's pathetic!
And she saying all this with almost hatred and to her son, to her own son.
Stop! Seriously, stop.
Imagine that. All of this doesn't sound convincing because as we said in part number 1, it was known, it was a normal thing that only men or mainly men sat at the throne. A woman wouldn't have these ideas, these feminist ideas of equality as we view it today in order to feel so wronged that she's not in the throne. You can't just throw modern ideas in an ancient story and expect it to match. And besides that, Penelope was at least 7 years short of a queen of Ithaca. What did she do? What are the results of her command then? She didn't take command, she didn't do anything, she just waited and had all the suitors bleed the kingdom. And when Odysseus tells Telemachus that he's SInon and that he knows that Odysseus is alive and he's close, Telemachus' reaction is like so lame, so emotionless. I mean, this kid wanted to meet his father for so many years and now he learns that he's not only alive but close, and he's just like, okay. That's a reaction, that's a normal reaction. The scene with Argos, Odysseus' dog, really bad, really, it's just there so that nobody can say that it wasn't there. There was no passion, there was no acting, there was no emotion, there was nothing. The only thing that there was a little bit of instant teardrops that they put to the actors to show a little bit of emotion. That's it.
You're really screwing up!
There was no other emotion from Telemachus, and there was certainly no emotion from Odysseus.
What in the fuck are you doing?
It was just like, okay, I just saw my dog, it died, okay, buried, I have some work to do. Then we have Odysseus as a beggar inside the palace, and Antinos throws something on him. Somebody else tells him, hey, don't do that because of Zeus's law. You shouldn't treat him like that. And Antinos says, why do you think this guy could be a god?
Oh my god!
And this shows us furthermore that Nolan doesn't understand what Zeus's law is, of the law of Xenia is. The law of Xenia is not to treat somebody well because he could be a god.
Well, duh.
It's to treat someone how you should be treated. You would want to be treated yourself and have a mutual respect. The part because he could be a god in disguise was just put in there to remind people that it's very important to do this. It was not actually literally said because the only reason is to treat others well is because they could be a god.
Oh my god!
Even a 15-year-old can understand that. It's a metaphor, it's a matter of speaking.
Well, duh.
Of course, Odysseus now says that his name is SInon, which doesn't exist in Homer's Odyssey, and Nolan puts it probably here because he wants to remind us that Odysseus is feeling guilt for, is carrying the guilt of what he did to SInon, which is bullshit because we explained why. It was a fake guilt. And Odysseus describes SInon as the bravest man.
Say that again?
Man he has ever known. I'd say that SInon would seem brave if he had known that there were men inside and he managed to not tell it.
Thank you!
Next we have the Odysseus as a beggar who talks with Penelope, and he's just laying out that he might not be the same guy And obviously he's not the same guy, because Nolan wants, instead of a hero, he wants someone who's guilt-ridden and miserable and whiny and ashamed. And in an interview, he also had to admit that he transferred some of Oppenheimer inside the Odyssey.
Why?
And of course, in the same interview, he admitted that our heroes should be ashamed of themselves because they're better.
Do we have to apologize for that greatness? And the answer is yes, we do.
You? Yeah, fuck off.
And finally, he lays out the main reason of the guilt of that Odysseus should have, and it's because he dared to think of a solution to win the war, to enter Troy and conquer the city, which was completely natural because it was war. Of course, there are going to be casualties and innocents are going to die, and this is how wars were, and everyone knew it.
Well, duh.
And also he says that the Trojan horse was a violating of Zeus's law, which is utter crap, as we explained. Because Zeus's law and the xenia of Zeus had to do with strangers that you meet and you are a good host to them.
Thank you!
It has nothing to do with enemies and wars and such things.
Crap on top of 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 crap.
At the end of the discussion, Odysseus says that he knows that Odysseus is alive and he will be coming. And he showed the pin to Penelope also, so it was believable. So what's the natural response to someone that may have proof that Odysseus, that at least he met Odysseus, or that he may be telling the truth, that he knows that he's coming and that he's alive? What's the normal response? The normal response is, oh really? Where is he? When did you see him? When is he coming? When is he coming? Where? How do you know this? But instead Penelope just says, never mind, I waited enough. I'm getting married.
Are you that stupid?